going to be talking with George Saldana again. We're going to hear an update on his family court case. Unfortunately, it's bad news. That's what a lot of our experiences have been in family courts. And we'll give some updates on the self-appointment topic with David Evans. Nathan Heck sent a district judge up to Tarrant County to try to deal with this mess that these judges have created for themselves by self-appointing themselves. So we'll get George on here. I sent you an invite, and I did some open records requests and found out that we'll talk about this more in depth. But David Evans has been getting paid for his self-appointments, and we'll kind of talk about why that's a conflict. Hello, Bradiana. Let's see, George. All right, adding George. Hey, George. Let's
Hey, buddy.
start. Hey, man, how you doing? Let's start with you, because this is obviously your family, your ordeal. Give us an update on what happened in Houston with your son's case.
So they ruled against me this last Friday. If some of y'all have been keeping up with my case, I've been, it's been all over the place. The last 6 years, I've been in the Harris County courts. First of all, I was denied a speedy trial. I've been kept from my child numerous times. I started interference with child custody, Texas Penal Code 2503. I've made it known to every judge. They held my ex in contempt, and they gave her 10 years as part of the agreed order. And she continued to violate. She continued to make false allegations. She continued to make allegations that I was abusing Christopher. I have everything documented, heavily documented. If anybody knows me, they know that I keep, tabs on everything. And so I have emails, I have text messages, police reports, business records, affidavits. And this judge, Linda Dunson in the 309th, pretty much severed everything from me. She wouldn't allow me to call witnesses. I subpoenaed the Precinct 4 Harris County constables to come in and tell the judge what they saw. She wouldn't take my police reports, right? So when you don't have witnesses, you don't have police reports. How can you convey to the judge that there's a violation of the court order? So
yes, it's interesting how they keep evidence out of courts, right?
Right. And that's, to me, that's the hard part, is I seriously go into these courts and I seriously feel like I'm talking another language because when you go in there, I'm specifically telling the judge, look, like, you can't violate the canons. And then, you practically read the canons to them on the record, and the judge doesn't flinch. The judge then dismisses your subpoenas for these officers. She quashes them. Well, why can't I bring my witness? That's part of the legal system, right? Is to subpoena witnesses and bring them in. And Judge Dunson suppressed that. She quashed it, and then she won't let me bring in my police reports. And so, long story short, if some of y'all know, I was arrested, and I'm going to court tomorrow for that arrest. I'm not going to talk much about it, but when I was arrested on that day, I was telling the judge that she didn't have jurisdiction because there was a recusal on file. October 27th, I filed my recusal. October 27th, I filed my recusal, and in my recusal, it specifically stated that we had issues with the bailiff, that the bailiffs were touching us, grabbing us. It was getting hostile, and someone was going to get hurt. And it says it in my recusal. Somebody's going to get hurt. long story short, fast forward to November 14th, the bailiff, as y'all see in the video, assaults me first when I'm telling the judge that they don't have jurisdiction because I have a recusal on file. 60 days later, after I filed the recusal and I'm arrested for assault on a peace officer, right? They say my recusal is denied. So now I'm sitting here like, well, now that just confirms that they didn't have jurisdiction.
Yes.
So while they threw me in jail for assault on this peace officer, which again the video's out there, I encourage everybody to watch. Right, these Harris County Sheriff bailiffs are just out of control. We've been trying to report them, and they're doing work for the judge. It's like a Gestapo in there. The judge tells them what to do, and I can't confirm that this was set up, but I'm sure they were looking for a reason to lock me up. Tomorrow I'm going to go to court and I'll probably get locked up again. So if you don't see me for a few days, I'll be in the Harris County cooler. And it's okay because that's what I will do for Christopher. But we went through trial. I was dressed in orange in shackles because this bailiff made a false police report. Not that it has taken up my time, it has taken my money. It's a financial crime. That guy has made me incur charges. I mean, money, bond, travel, gas, right, to go and fight this when he knew he was wrong. Their policies, Harris County Sheriff's Department's policies even state for them not to mess with you when you're recording. I sent that to Internal Affairs. Internal Affairs won't investigate their own deputies when there's a criminal charge. So that's the little loophole they get away with. So if everybody that's watching, if you try to file a internal affairs complaint on a police officer, what they do is they charge you with something. So that way you can fight those charges. So by the time those charges end, the statute of limitations for filing on that police officer has been dealt with.
Correct.
So now there's nothing to find. So they protect themselves. A lot of people have been asking me, well, why won't you just take supervised visits? Supervised visits, I'm not going to take, and Jeff Younger has the same concept. Why are we subjected to supervised visitations when we're asking for accountability and transparency from these courts, and they're knowingly and willingly doing it? When a judge willingly and knowingly submits you or makes you go to supervised visits, that's extortion. When they don't follow the law and they're telling you, well, you don't like my hand, boy, bam, go back down to supervised visits. That's extortion. You want to see your child? Go to supervised visitation. So now they have ordered me supervised visits. They've ordered me anger management classes. They've ordered me to submit my DNA to my ex, who plays on Ancestry. My ex said that she was related to my stepmom and two of my biological aunts by playing with Ancestry. I don't want to give my DNA. She claims it's for Christopher, but then they want me to submit all these things for Christopher, but they won't let me see him. And then the attorney that was chummy with the bailiff, we all saw that in the video, Carolyn Robertson. Like, how unethical is that? The Supreme Court has come out with the Texas Lawyers Creed, an order of the Supreme Court, for professionalism, where it says they can't make statements of fact that they know are untrue. And this attorney is steadily making these statements of fact that they know are untrue to this judge, and I'm calling her out on it. And the judge, this is the thing that really pisses me off. These judges, they patronize you. They get on the stand and they look at you. Ooh. And that's what Linda Dunson did, to make it seem like she was paying attention. But then she gave my ex and her attorney 100% of what they asked for. I wouldn't doubt if Carolyn Robertson, the attorney, actually copied and pasted, put it on an order and sent it to the judge to sign, which we know they do.
So they made an example lot of you.
Yeah.
And I guess unfortunately, you kind of saw that coming, and that's that's going to be kind of a theme we're going to have with today's chat is just the retaliation, open retaliation that they willed against us. And we were talking the other night, and I was using the analogy, parents like you and Brooks and others are the kind of first wave in this battle, right? So what happens to the first wave? They get mowed down. But that's what allows the second wave and the third wave to, this will take years and decades, but we're the first wave, and we're going to take it on the chin. We know what's going to happen. We've all lost access to our children at different points because we're outspoken about our rights. And it's not like we're doing anything controversial. We're literally just
Tell them
reading
to
the Bill of
follow the
Rights.
law, to follow the law and your rules. I mean, y'all wrote them. I
There
didn't
are
write them.
rules that they wrote that we expect them to follow.
Yeah.
We're not into conspiracy theories here. We're just literally reading statutes, things that are, on the government website. But yeah, they made an example out of you, and they expect in these situations that other people will look at George and say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they just did that to him. I'm not going to go to bat like he did." And everyone has to make that decision for themselves, right? But for people like you and me and others, we're going to make the decision to not put our tail between our legs.
I mean,
So, yeah.
it's so blatantly flagrant what they're doing in these courts, and this is why I have an issue. This is why I'm an advocate. This is why I'm trying to help people, is because the flagrantness from they're running rogue. There's absolutely zero oversight for the Harris County courts. Zero, right? They're just going to deny you. They're going to send you to the appeals court because we don't like you. We don't like what you're about. We don't like that you're a male. This judge, I saw the back of her courtroom because they hauled me in from the back. She's a family court judge. She has no pictures of a family back there. On her wall, it's all black little girls with their black mom, right? Wayne Deltrofino has also done an investigative story that she's biased, and there's other men that have been through her court that she's treated the same. So why do we have these family court judges that already, and then you have the 280th court, Barbara Stalder, holding a sign saying the future is female. I'm not trying to push a feminist movement here, but it is what it is. When you look at the statistics, when you look at the protective order judge that's holding a sign saying the future is female, and then you have judges that are sitting in these seats that don't have pictures of families, intact families, right? And then they don't follow the judicial canons. They don't follow the disciplinary rules. They let lawyers lie. I mean, how could you not be upset? I think everybody needs to record for transcript integrity, right? That's one of the things that's going around, is that these parents that are going through all courts need to record. Find a way to record. If you don't, find someone else to. There's nothing in the law that says you can't record. It's just a judge and a piece of paper on the door, right? Mm-hmm. But and now they want to charge me $5,900 for my transcripts. $5,900 for my transcripts. I was given 30 minutes for my testimony while they gave her a day and a half on the witness stand. How could I combat a day and a half of allegations when I only have 30 minutes? So yes, I'm looking for this to go to the appeals court, but they're going to jail me. They're going to jail me tomorrow based on this deal, and I'm pissed about it, and I should be. Because now when you're sending law enforcement officers to do your dirty work because you want to suppress what I have to say, that's a conspiracy. And judicial immunity should not cover that. There needs to be a full-blown investigation by the feds on this and how they treat people on civil rights.
Mm-hmm. I just noticed the other day that this judge that made this ruling on you, she completely ignores Rule 12 requests.
Yeah.
It won't even her court coordinator won't even respond. I just sent another one last night, and I also sent a letter to the Office of Court Administration that's going in the mail today, for documenting this pattern, right? So something as simple as them understanding they work for us and they have to do things when we ask them to. They're completely in denial about that, and I think that's just her whole approach. I'm sure someone said, "Hey, this guy's asking for your emails." She said, pricing, just ignore it. She doesn't understand. She cannot ignore it. It will eventually catch up with her when she has a pattern of just violating the law on different levels.
I mean, I asked for Rule 12 from her office too, and I got denied. It wasn't turned over,
Yeah.
right? They don't want to turn over the security camera footage from the hallway where I was arrested, right? Because it's going to show 5 officers jumping on me when that deputy attacked me first, right? And again, if you're going to court, you have to record because things are going to happen, and you should. I'm just baffled. I'm baffled that they gave them 100% of what they asked for. My ex admitted to biting me. That's a form of abuse. My ex admitted to hitting me. Right. My ex admitted to making fake Facebook accounts, which are going around right now, talking all this stuff about George and how George is this and George is that. I will debate them on live. Have that fake account, contact me, and we will talk about this online. If you want to hide behind a fake account, let's go, right? But that doesn't really bother me that they're making fake accounts, because my ex, I already know how she is. We all know our exes are
trolling us.
Yeah, we already know our exes have issues, right? But it's the system. When the system doesn't stick up for the people that are reporting it. We have been reporting interference with child custody, and it's big business in these family courts because people go to family court for mainly two things. Child support and possession and access. If they cut down the possession and access, interference with child custody, they'll only have child support court, right? And they're going to lose a lot of money. So guys, if y'all are watching, tomorrow I go to Harris County. They're going to probably lock me up. I'm ready for it. I'm not scared. I will die on this hill. And that's what I told Judge Dunson. Judge Dunson is now being looked at. I've been putting a lot of content out, and a lot of people are in my inbox asking me to do stories about them. And there's several from the 309th court. We still have several members from the 257th court, Judge Peak. And Judge Peak did the same thing as Judge Dunson. They like to patronize you and look at you and like they're sorry and yes and oh my God, you've been through a lot. And then they come back and we're going to send you to the appeals court. I mean, just that in itself, right? I had police reports of my ex hitting me. I had her testify to hitting me. I had her testify to biting me. And Judge Dunson heard it all. It's all on the record, right? But now they're going to send me to the appeals court. I asked that judge 3 times, and I made sure I did it 3 times to make a finding of domestic violence, and she refused. But the final order they gave me, they said that they found me as the abuser. So how does a man report domestic violence? Because it was used against me that I called law enforcement for protection. Her attorney says, "Oh well, what they're doing is Mr. Saldana initiated the argument, and then he called law enforcement to try to get you in trouble. Isn't that correct?" And so now men can't report domestic violence. So now the 309 is engaging on just restricting men altogether. You can't make a police report because we're not going to let you bring the police officers in. We're not going to let you bring the police reports in. And then if you do call them, we're going to say that you initiated the argument and you called police just to get her in trouble. It's a common tactic.
It allows them to control the narrative. Yeah, absolutely. Well, George, by any measure, you were railroaded, and it's it's a long battle that we're in, and they think they can just pick us off one at a time. On this topic, if it's okay, keeping with this theme of judicial retaliation. I want to kind of take us up to Tarrant County and get folks caught up. Um, there was a really important case that a lot of stuff that's going to have ramifications for the state of Texas is I'm proud to say happening in Tarrant County. A lot of things are going to be for the better. We have one attorney here who's um, actually fighting back against the corrupt elements of our judiciary, and God bless her for that. And we have several things that are happening here. But anyway, uh, David Evans is the topic, and so he's a senior judge, retired. He's the presiding judge of the 8th Administrative Region, and he has been self-assigning himself to cases where he's getting paid. And so what is wrong with that on a couple different levels? I want to read Article 16 of the Texas Constitution, Section 40. No person shall hold or exercise at the same time more than one civil office of emolument, which means an office of profit, right? And we've talked about this in our last chat. We went down and actually read a lot of this attorney's case law and, kind of made it very clear. But let's just talk, common sense, right? If we have an elected official, we expect them to focus on that position, right? Not to appoint themselves to another position and make more money, not to have conflicting jobs where they're the mayor and the city manager, right? That's kind of at the basis of this whole idea. And David Evans is an administrative judge who's paid by the state for that job. And he's also making money on the side as a senior judge. But what's really crazy about this whole thing is that he's assigning himself. So there's no accountability. There's no checks and balances, right? He can just, I'm reading this here. I, Judge David Evans, certify I was willing to preside over the following courts by Honorable, guess who? David Evans, presiding judge of the 8th Administrative Judicial Region. He's making money. So he on these invoices that he's sending to the state comptroller's office, we can see that he's appointing himself to make extra money, with a side gig off taxpayer funds, and he's signing off for himself. So there's absolutely no oversight. He's doing a lot of family court, interestingly enough. Of all the things he could be doing, he's doing a lot of family court hearings. He's in the 231st quite a bit. Our friend Jesse Navarro's court, making money, making a daily rate of $622. And so if he's there for full days, makes $600 on top of his other salary. And again, I would encourage folks to go back.
Let's talk about a full day's work.
Yeah,
because they
probably
reset
9 hours.
They reset 90% of the time, and very rarely do they go to 5 o'clock.
That's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. So go back, folks. I went over all the case law and Supreme Court rulings X, Y, and Z on why this is unconstitutional, illegal, conflict, all that stuff. But yeah, he's what I found this week with these invoices I got the open records to say he's making a lot of money off of this. So an attorney brought this up and filed a motion to disqualify him because he sat on a family court case that he self-appointed himself to. So he basically had two positions. He had the administrative judge position, then a senior judge position. He's holding two positions at one time. According to case law that we went over last time, you can't do that. So by the time you qualify for the second position, you have to advocate your first, right? And so there's all these issues that come up when these judges do these things that are very unethical, unconstitutional, and possibly unlawful. And so what happens? Well, this motion is filed. David Evans asks Nathan Hecht to appoint someone to preside over this. And so Nathan Hecht appointed a very sharp judge named Scott Field. And we can presume that he was picked because Nathan Hecht needed someone to go in there and run cover for David Evans, right? That's what these judges do for each other. It's a really serious allegation. They couldn't just ignore it because this attorney had done her research and had really proven everything through her motion. And so last Monday, a week from this last Monday, so about 10 days ago, I went to the hearing. And it was interesting because this judge had kind of had his talking points worked out. He had really kind of read through the motion. He had kind of, you could just tell he had kind of worked out his talking points to kind of undermine, oh, well, it was funny. At one point he said, well, statutes are complicated, right? So he was kind of undermining, what the language of the law really means. He was saying, well, those statutes are so confusing. Who really knows what they're really saying, right? Which, of course, is absurd because every word in statute matters.
Legislative intent is how the law is written. There's
Kind of
plenty of case
fuzzy.
law.
He tried to just really muddy the water, which I thought was interesting because why would you undermine your own, statutes? But that's kind of what they're left with. All they can really say is, oh, well, it's really kind of confusing. We don't really understand what it meant, which of course is ridiculous. And then he, told this attorney kind of warned her to stop looking into these constitutional issues. And it was something that was kind of mind blowing for everyone who was present that day. He basically told her, "Yeah, stop. This is not good for your client. It's not good for you and your future. Stop looking into this. These really fundamental issues of conflicts of interest." And he issued his order and fined this attorney $1,000 and sanctioned her, basically. So the points she brought up were 100% legitimate. I mean, we went over that last week, and folks can go back and look. I'll even send you a copy of the motion. It's public record. She had done her homework. She had caught them doing something unconstitutional, and what happened? They fined her. I mean, it's just completely bogus. The same thing that happened to you, George, in your family court case. So that right now they're in a position where of course, they're worried because we're educated and we're informed. We know about Credo, bail bonds. We know that, you have to take your oath of office. We know, these conflicts of interest are serious. And we know how to look for things like invoices to see who's getting paid. If David Evans making extra money from two different jobs that are appointed positions, which of course is incredibly unconstitutional. And right now they're just kind of relying on, well, let's sanction this attorney for questioning us. Let's railroad George. But it's a really short-sighted approach. That's not going to work in the long run, right?
I mean, at some point we get tired of being violated. Like I've been to jail for criminal trespass when I was ordered to pick up my child with my judicial order, right? They eventually dropped that charge because, again, there was no criminal trespass going on. I was court ordered to be there, and I was thrown in jail. I tried to report the felony. That's another thing. The judge saw the video of this criminal trespass that I supposedly did, right? Even though it was dismissed, they played it that I was a criminal trespasser, and I'm telling the judge, look, I have a court order to be there. That's your court order on the 28th at noon to pick up my child, and I was arrested for criminal trespass, right? All these arrests, not for being a degenerate, and it's the same thing for these attorneys, right? They're putting their careers on the line, and these people in positions of power are power tripping. And it takes away, it perverts the judiciary, right? So I've had two attorneys from Houston reach out to me in the messenger chats asking me what they can do to help. And it's gonna come down to people like us, people like that attorney, and judges and honest attorneys, honest judges, to start reporting these violations and shifting our judiciary back into where it's supposed to be. These administrative judges that are assigning themselves, I'm sure they're doing it somewhere else. I mean, I'm sure we could look at Susan Brown in Harris County, and I'm sure she's doing the same thing. It's probably one of their power plays.
Well, again, I don't want to overstate how crazy it is because I'm at, there are certain standards for our government officials. That's why we have these laws against nepotism, and we take these things very seriously, because if our government's corrupt, it undermines our society will fall. And it's that simple. So we have all these supposed protections in place, but here we have an administrative judge who's in a position where he can appoint himself to make money, right? So imagine, you know, any other elected or appointed official, the stuff that these judges get away with. Imagine if Greg Abbott could sign an order giving himself more money, right? And there was absolutely no um, checks and balances to that, right? He just wrote it into law. The governor can now write checks to give himself money, right, on top of his salary, right? We would never accept that as acceptable, right? And there has to be someone um, giving you that position or assigning you. You can't just give yourself more taxpayer money. But that's what's happening here. And I'm looking at all the money that's flowing into his pockets that he's just giving himself. No one's even assigning, and I don't know if it'd be legal for someone else to assign it, but it definitely looks bad when you're assigning yourself and David Evans, I'm appointing David Evans to make money for David Evans, sign David Evans, right? We're kind of talking about that last night. It's just so absurd. But they're used to this kind of stuff, and we can go into the legality of it, but just from a basic ethical, moral point of view, um, yeah, this is just completely absurd. And these are the people at the top of our judiciary, right? And whenever they get caught, and when someone dares to file a motion that calls them out on this, they punish the attorney. I mean, it is so brazen what they're doing. I mean, I don't think anyone should have any faith in any level of our state justice system. This is how they behave.
Let me ask you: do you think the SCJC we know they don't oversee anybody, but do you think the SCJC oversees the Supreme Court justices?
I haven't looked into it. Do you know? I would assume so.
I don't know.
They work under the Supreme Court, so I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I mean,
if
someone files a complaint on a Supreme Court justice, does the SCJC automatically kick that back and say, no, you can't talk to these, or we can't investigate these guys because they're our boss?
I believe, and Brooks McKenzie's can answer this question. I do believe that the Commission on Judicial Conduct is organized underneath the Texas Supreme Court, right? So I think one of the things that reformers are looking to do is to remove it entirely, so that kind of conflict would go away.
You told me just real quick. You told me the other day that they interviewed one of your witnesses in one of your SCJC complaints.
So that's one on my list of stuff to talk about. So yes, this within the past couple of days, an investigator with the State Commission on Judicial Conduct called one of my witnesses and spoke to her for 45 minutes about Judge Jesse Navarre. So if you're listening, Jesse, I hope you're listening, because my case is being taken very seriously, and hopefully we'll lead with a public reprimand, which is the least he deserves. But and that whole thing came back to intimidation and retaliation, right? Because I was there for a hearing on a matter of enforcement, and he took it upon himself to call me up and start threatening me, and have his two bailiffs, puff up behind me, which means he took out one of his bailiffs from the associate court, left it. I need to follow up on that complaint.
So wait, you're in Tarrant County, I'm in Harris County, and they're using bailiffs on you. See where the pattern is? It's a pattern. We don't even really know each other, and they're doing the same thing that they're doing in Tarrant County as they are in Harris County.
And we have to
go ahead.
Yeah, we have to address all these issues. It's a county issue, it's a law enforcement issue, it's a judicial issue, but they're using the same playbook. But yeah, I mean, just complete. These people are these judges are on such a power trip. They think that when you step foot in their courtroom, it's their kingdom, and they can send their knights out to to call you up and put you in your place. But we have to. What we're going to do, in the years that come, we're going to restore that power balance back to the people. And one way we can do that is, corresponding complaints, using the framework in place, but also, encourage folks, and we'll keep talking about this. Something as simple as requesting emails and communications from your judge begins to realign the balance of power, because they're not used to people like us not asking, demanding, because we're not asking it. They have to fulfill this. It's a reminder that they work for us. They have
Right.
to forward their communications to us because we pay their salary. And again, I would encourage folks, every once a week, don't over, burden them, but once a week or at least once a month, send your family court judge, or maybe your case is over. Do you remember who it was? Just send them a Rule 12 request, a reasonable one, and just start reminding them that they're government employees, just like the people who give our mail and the people who clean our county, facilities. They're an employee, and we pay them. They work for us.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about this a lot. You know, if you've been in the game, you know that you wake up every morning and you have a new thought on your mind. And I just started thinking, like, these 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 people, these politicians that wear these robes, go out to the community and they pander for votes, right? They'll
Mm-hmm.
do anything. They'll talk about families first and how they're going to bring justice, and they want to clean up certain things in the court, and then they wear that robe and they do the complete opposite, right? And I want to tell parents that they need to get involved in your local elections, because when you start looking at other judges that are running for that position, or other politicians in your area that can help, it's important. Everybody in family court needs to be involved in their local politics. Start removing, start trying to remove these bad actors, these public servants, right? Because they're public servants, just like a police officer, a fireman. Anybody that works with the government is a public servant. They come from our tax-paying dollars. So you wouldn't let anybody violate you, right? I'm not going to let anybody violate me. They sure as hell ain't going to violate my kid.
Mm-hmm.
Every parent has that issue if you have a kid in school, right? They're very protective over their children in school, but yet we are the ones that are retaliated. We're the ones being oppressed. We're the ones being arrested. We're the ones given false allegations.
Mm-hmm.
And these people that go out and they pander votes, knock on doors, vote for me, sign my petition so I can be a judge, and then for them just to revert into the trash that they are, it's an issue. And a lot of these judges, and one of the issues that's going to probably come up for me tomorrow is that they told me that I couldn't talk about the 309 district court and Judge Dunson or the bailiff. There was I wouldn't say it's called an order of protection, but it was basically an order to stay away from both of them. And yet they called me to their court to have trial when they didn't have jurisdiction. So again, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And when there's no checks and balances, there's people like David Evans that's just writing his names in the blank, saying, "Oh, look what I can do. I just gotta sit. I wonder where I'm going
Made
to
a
take my
thousand
wife
bucks
this
today.
evening." Right? I just made
Yeah.
us a cool 650. I stayed till 11:30, cut out for lunch, then go back the rest of the day.
Yes. The gravy train's coming to an end, judges. Oh yeah, one more thing, because I mean the stuff they do is so absurd. I mean, they think it's almost kind of funny that they think they can intimidate us. But so yeah, Navarre, part of my complaint was, Navarre sent his bailiffs out to go accost my friend Manuel Mata, and and then he sends his bailiffs out, and then he looks at me and he says, see what you did? You're getting your friends hurt. And so there's a very clear threat of physical harm that's kind of hinted at with those kind of statements. So Jesse's going to have to answer for that as well. But
And
yeah,
that's
they'll go so far.
no,
Uh-huh.
go ahead.
Oh, they'll go so far as to use their bailiffs to make you feel like your physical safety is in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And
The
yeah,
bailiffs, the bailiffs work for the county. They don't work for that judge. They are supposed to be security for that courtroom. They don't just have uh, they just don't have discretion to do whatever they want. They still have to abide by their policies and procedures. And that's where I have this bailiff, is that his policies and procedures tell him he's supposed to de-escalate. He's supposed to not interfere with people that are filming him. It says it in his own policy. It's for the Harris County Sheriff's Department, the patch that he wears on his shoulder, their own policy says that. So he broke his own policy and he broke the law. And then now they're trying to charge me. And so, it gets old, and people do get upset, and we had Martin Luther King Day 2 days ago, right? We all talk about equality. Everyone was all about equality on Monday, right? And then Tuesday, men, fathers,
businesses.
people that, yeah, business as usual. Let's
Yeah.
strike this man down. Let's oppress this guy a little bit more.
Yeah, actually, I've had some interesting phone calls lately from people that wanted, some interesting family court stories, and some of these will work their way into my newspaper. Some of them might work their way into our interviews here. I'll give you two examples. One is a really successful businessman. I won't name these folks because I haven't had a chance to get their permission yet, but he's a really successful executive, and he's worked for several big companies. He's worked for Ross Perot, and among other things with his story in a Tarrant County family court that I'm very familiar with is real estate fraud. And so there's an attorney that basically this judge has a pattern of um, really devaluing someone's home through this, these appointed attorneys. Terry Owens is the attorney. I don't mind naming him because he does this quite a bit. And in this case, Owens, just lied about the state of this person's house, saying that like all the home pillars were like busted. And the reason they're doing this is because they can take control of your house and devalue it, and then basically then they take it from you, right? So they give you like pennies on the dollar, right? And then now they own the house because family courts have the ability to just take your property to liquidate your wealth, and then they can sell it. But then what are they going to sell it for? Well, they're going to sell it for well above market price. All of a sudden those broken pillars aren't broken anymore. They never were. That's the whole point. But it really, man, there's so many of these stories happening um, that I gotta, it sounds criminal, what they're doing, right? They're using the government to devalue someone's home and then sell it for a profit. These attorneys get a percentage of the sales, so they're using our own government to line their pockets with a lot of money. So, I mean, I'm
It's
sure it
just
happens in other
it's just
courts,
like
but
the $650 a day scam,
mhm.
right? And we're seeing it here in Bexar County as well. I've been to a couple of hearings where I've seen them assign a realtor to sell the house, and they've had issues with selling it because of the property values, right? They try to. So what you're describing to me, I've seen and heard myself. And again, you're in Tarrant County, I'm in Bexar County. My case is in Harris County. So these business practices,
Mhm.
they're business practices. They're no longer a legal issue. And one of the, I had one member call me last night and says, "Hey man, just cut it out. You want to see Christopher? Just cut it out. Give in to him. Lay down. Take your supervised visits." And I can't do that. I'm so far deep right now. I'm so far deep into this that I'm being retaliated against. I'm being oppressed. I can't even talk about my government. I'm being censored, right? I'm so far deep in this that if I just give up now, I would give up on everybody that's depending on me, on you, on Brooks, on all these other parents that are actually laying themselves down to hold the judiciary accountable,
Yeah.
right? I will not take supervised visits when I know that my ex has hurt me, right? And I know that she has made false allegations, and if nobody wants to hold her accountable, I will. Right at some point, that's what we have laws for. That's what we have the Constitution for. And if they are overrunning the Constitution and these laws by bad business practices, they need to be exposed. Period.
Mm-hmm. Well, T. Matthew Phillips, this incredible civil rights attorney who filed this lawsuit in California that has two kind of pillars. One of them is dealing with supervised visitations, which is important to know. And he says that's a violation of your First Amendment right to have unimpeded conversations with your child, and that's backed up by Supreme Court rulings, right? So, but he said, and I love it. I need to get this quote framed. The family courts are the first court whose sole purpose or primary purpose is generating revenue, not dispensing money. Justice. I apologize. So I'll say that again. The primary goal of the family court system is to generate revenue, not to dispense justice. And he said if they do dispense justice, it's by happenstance. Like once in a while, they'll accidentally do the right thing, but it's not by design. The design is money, and it's the fuel the pockets of the attorneys, the guardian ad litems, the judges, X, Y, and Z. There's a whole cottage industry that persists under this cruel and horrible system. A little bit of good news. Dr. Phil is in the house, and he's settled in Fort Worth. He's moved to his studio, and he is actively, his priority is family court. So,
So, well, and I know I've put some things out, and I've got some comments returned that they're not.
They're responding to people so I encourage folks to go to Dr. Phil's website and submit your story. They do want your ex to be on the show, so just be aware that they kind of expect to have both sides of it. So that's going to be a problem because a lot of these exes are not going to want to. They're okay doing things in family court. They may not be okay saying those lies in public.
One of the things I told Dr. Phil, look, I have the same story as most of y'all, right? Domestic violence, family, false allegations. But again, like I was saying earlier in the video, is that we all have that ex that's messed up, right? It's the judiciary. Mm-hmm. Dr. Phil needs to do shows on the judiciary. What has the judiciary done to you? Right.
Yeah,
Ed, what has the judiciary done to you? This is what I've seen. Mr. Saldana, what about you? I've been locked up. I've done this. The laws are on the books. I've been to Austin. I've advocated. And so now they're single-handedly taking us out. Some of y'all know that Brooks McKenzie went to jail. I've been to jail multiple times, not for stealing Cadillac converters, right? Just mainly, hey, look, I'm trying to see my child. These are your court orders. It's funny because I wanted to go over this court order with you real quick and hit some of the things that you were talking about. But my grievance on Sandra Peak that's been at the SCJC, and I don't know if Jennifer Lundy will want to look into it, but it's been more than 2.5 years, and I still haven't gotten anything from the SCJC. My grievance on Sandra Peak, the 257th court, still has not been answered for. Like, how unacceptable is that? Not only that, but I have 12 eyewitnesses with affidavits. The SCJC, the Judicial Commission, did not interview one of them. That's why I was surprised when they called your witness, because 12 witnesses, SCJC complaint, not one. I mean, it's horrible. So one of the things that, and you were talking about generating revenue. I have Talking Parents. I've been on Talking Parents for years. And this order that the judge says that I need to use Talking Parents, and I also have to sign up for Family Wizard.
I don't understand why, because if you're only allowed to see your kid through supervised visitation, how much are you going to be talking to your ex? I don't understand that.
They still want us to communicate through a co-parenting app. And so my issue is, and this is why I believe the Carolyn Robertson, opposing counsel, wrote it, because it's to me, if I wrote this, I would have dotted my I's and crossed my T's, especially when you're trying, to remove a child from anybody. You want to make sure that these orders are correct. And so when they're saying, hey, y'all are going to use Talking Parents, but you need to sign up for Family Wizard, and I have to pay for my Family Wizard, why are you making me take subscribe to two co-parenting apps? I've heard Talking Family Wizard is the choice of some of these family courts, and I don't know if that's through if they're told to use Family Wizard, kind of like doctors are told to use what types of medicines.
Could be,
but for them to put this in here, for me to use Talking Parents and then subscribe to the Family Wizard. Another thing they say in here, I have to pay any cost with possession and access to the child. So now, not only do I have supervised visits, but now you have to pay for it. And if you can't afford to pay for it, you don't see your child. How is that constitutional? Because there's no findings. There's no findings. Again, I asked the judge to make a finding for me. She wouldn't make a finding for me, but now she's telling me that if I want to see my child, and how convenient that the bailiff made me a criminal based on his false criminal complaint that I pushed him. See, this right here, all of this right here, it consumes my time. It's a lot of money. It's oppressive. And now I got to fight. So when these judges send you to the appeals court, when these judges willfully and willingly and willfully send you to the appeals court, that's stealing. You're stealing my time. You're stealing my money. You're stealing my child. That is against the law. And that needs to stop. I mean, and judges that allow these attorneys, the bad attorneys, to excel in their court, they don't admonish them. They don't hold them by the Texas Lawyers Creed. They don't hold them to the disciplinary rules of professional conduct. That right there, that should be criminal as well, because it's a mandated order by the Supreme Court for professionalism that they have to act and conduct business in a certain way.
So I just got a email from Secretary of State, and again, I would encourage folks, if you want to make a difference, start requesting documents. Start investigating on your own, because I'm really disappointed when I have a hunch. So I just got this, email back from the general counsel, and what caught my attention was an attorney here in Tarrant County on his website says that he is or has held the position of visiting associate judge of the 231st in Tarrant County and visiting associate judge of the 360th in Tarrant County. And I said, okay, in my head, I'm like, okay, so that's an appointed position. We know that appointed officials must take the oath of office, right? That's Preto Bell bonds. Appointed judges must take the oath of office. And this has ramifications for senior judges who, and this could be a whole other topic in the future, but we are seeing senior judges file their oath of office. Judith Wells did recently, and Judge Wallach did recently. And so I think that's because of the reporting I've done in Tarrant County that they're finally having to you can make change. You can make judges follow the law. It's possible. So anyway, back to this attorney. All right, so he says he was an associate judge appointed, visiting, but still it's a judge, right? So this means he's overhearing cases. So I want his oath of office, and it's a district position, so I know that district level folks file with the Secretary of State. If it's a county position, they file with the county, and if it's a city position, they file with the city. So that your mayor is going to file with your city secretary, your county civil attorney is going to file with the county, and your district level folks are going to file with the Secretary of State. So I know where to look. I know what I'm looking for. And here it says a diligent search of our records found no documents responsive to your request. So he has never filed an oath of office. So I'm gonna have to look into this more. But again, when you see something that is fishy, go ask, go verify that it's fishy. Like do the next step, send an email, and verify if these folks are following the law. I mean, it's not terribly complicated.
No, and you're absolutely right, because a lot of people, and I've been changing my trajectory on how I advocate now, and I tell people, look, man, quit fighting your ex in court. Like right now, the biggest obstacle is making sure that the business practices don't affect your judicial ruling. That there's nobody corrupt. If there's somebody corrupt in your hearing, whether it's the judge or the attorney, right? That's going to be your biggest obstacle, because if you have a total just system in place, then everything you say will go as according to plan, right? If you start targeting your ex and she's a narcissist and she's this and she's that, right? You're just fueling the litigation. So start making your main focus on the ethics and how that court handles justice. Because again, you're a cat chasing its tail if you're just fighting your ex over and over and over and over. When you see something, say something, right? That's a common phrase that everyone's using in society now. See something, say something. We are entitled by our First Amendment right to be able to talk about our government. And a lot of these judges need to be talked about. You would talk about a bad police officer that treated you unfairly or oppressed you. And we have First Amendment auditors that do that with law enforcement, and we need to have more First Amendment auditors that are on judges to ensure that our judiciary is working the way they're supposed to be working, right? And so you're absolutely right. These parents need to start learning how to look for these records, they need to know the Texas Lawyers Creed. They need to know the disciplinary rules of professional conduct. They need to know the judicial canons. Just before you even step into that courtroom, you need to know the rules in which the bailiff has to abide by, the judge has to abide by, the attorney has to abide by, and the rules, right? Because if you're going to hold me to a certain standard, you better hold everybody to that certain standard.
And just a closing thought, because what we're going to do, we're going to come back. I think George is going to help connect us with one of the folks, anyone who's connected with the documentary. We the parents, I like to talk to them. So let's get them on the show, and then I'm going to reach out to. I got the phone number for this guy. I'm going to call him up soon. On Lee Sue's running against Judge Baca Bennett in Tarrant County. And he's never been a family court judge before, so we're going to talk to him about some of the stuff we're interested in, and see what his thoughts are. And hope if he's on the right side of things, again, hopefully we can get some. I don't think we're endorsing anybody, but if he deserves it, I'm sure some folks will listen and maybe consider voting for him, because the establishment judges in family courts, we know they all need to go, right? Like with very few exceptions. But yeah, just a final thought. I was thinking, if the founding fathers had any idea that one day this country would have this family court industry, they certainly would have built into the Bill of Rights really clear language about the rights of children and parents. But this whole thing, this whole family court industry came about relatively recently. It's a 20th century, kind of thing that in the last couple of decades alone has just ballooned, into this what I think is probably the biggest danger, to our society is family courts right now as they exist. So yeah, we're kind of in uncharted territory. This thing has grown up to $100 billion industry in maybe 30 years, and it's growing every year because all it knows is how to gobble up resources and generate revenue and feed off of families. That's what this animal does. So Um, so yeah, well, we're glad to have Dr. Phil in the fight, and anyone else out there, we appreciate what you're doing.
I got I got two
only
announcements
do
real quick
good.
before we close.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So those that are watching, we have two more premieres for We the Parents here in Texas. Sunday, February 4th in Dallas, Texas. It's going to be at the Look-In Dine-In Cinema. You can also find this information on We the Parents Texas. You're going to have an attorney, Ferguson, Jennifer Lundy, Brooks McKenzie, and Jeff Younger as the panelists. And then on the 9th, Friday, February 9th in Louisville, another showing of We the Parents. So if you're in Dallas or in Louisville, be sure to try to make one of these events. Even if you have seen this movie, you still need to go network, meet these people. On the 9th, you're going to have Jennifer Lundy, Justice Devine, Supreme Court Justice, David Schneck, who's running for the Court of Appeals, and Ferguson, the attorney again. So February 4th, February 9th, if y'all need any more information, y'all can DM me, or you can go to We the Parents Texas and see those flyers. Other than that, Ed, I appreciate the show. If y'all don't hear from me late afternoon tomorrow, I'm probably in jail. I'm looking forward to it. I will sit my ass in jail for my son. There is nothing. I won't even blink an eye.
Once you realize that's the worst they can do to us,
Yeah,
you gain a sense of freedom, right? Because they really
yeah,
rely on that fear of the bailiff hauling you to jail. And it sucks. I mean, it does suck. No one's going to say it doesn't suck. But once you've experienced the worst case scenario, you're like, well, that's the worst they can do to me, then fine. F it.
yeah.
I'll go through it. So appreciate you, sharing that. So
Well, all right, man. Well, hey, thanks for having it. We're going to do it again
yeah,
soon. Hopefully sooner than later.
hopefully they process you very quickly. You get back out. All right.
All right, buddy. We'll catch you.